Look at that magnificent hill. Great big rocks up there. Wonder if they'll ever fall down one day. Possibly. Some may have already landed into the gorge. Very spectacular. Right, I shall keep walking. It's a fair trail, but I've got permission to be here, so I shall keep going. When you're going on private property, make sure if you open a gate, you always shut the gate behind you and lock it. Oopsie daisy, I'm already having a rookie error. Yep, make sure you go, whenever you enter farmland, lock the gate. Nice and solid. Let's keep going. Well, here we go. We're just on a path and going around this bend. I can hear water in the distance, so there's a river to my left. We'll stay on the path for the moment. As you can see, the grass is a bit high. Things are a bit wet and dewy from the morning. But it's a lovely spot. Birds everywhere, blue wrens, butterflies, lots of little flowering shrubs and things. So, very beautiful place. Once again, no one's here, just me. Everyone's sitting at the cafe. Don't know why. Anyway, let's keep going, get to our destination. Right, we're at another gate. I've only been walking for a few minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and oops, sorry for the camera. So far so good, such an easy walk, beautiful day, not a breath of wind. Just shutting the gate behind us here. It's hard to do this with one hand. Come on. Got the other hand holding the metal detector and the shovel. Whew, let's keep going. Not puffed out yet. Lots of huge trees everywhere. Very picturesque. Very beautiful location. So I've been very fortunate that the farmer who owns the land that this river and creek flow through has given me permission. So it's 150 acres all up. So I think I'll be in my element for months, if not years. Now this area is known for the original route taken by the early settlers when they travelled through on coaches and horseback. And I went to the library the other day, you can watch that video if you like, where I researched some of the farming equipment and the modes of transport and the things that our forefathers and people did, you know, back in the old day. And this is a very important historical location. So they travelled this route to get from Adelaide to Cape Jervis, which is way down south in the Fleurieu Peninsula, and Adelaide is the capital city of South Australia. So this is a fair way away from Adelaide, but I can just imagine how it would have been traversing these trails on horseback, you know, with cliffs and rivers and, you know, gorges and things like that. I'm going to try not to edit too much of this because it's just beautiful when you get to see me actually walking around for real, like with no editing, no cutting, no splicing, just as is. So bear for any mistakes or errors or wobbles I get. I apologise in advance, but that's how it is when you walk and trudge through countryside. Let's keep going. And I just wanted to say that how beautiful it really is without any wind, and the smell of the flowers and the bush and the trees is, I can't even describe it. It's just this beautiful smell. If there was a perfume, goodness me, we'd all be buying it. It's absolutely a delightful smell to walk through here. I'm sure when the sheep and the cows are out, it would smell different, but at the moment it's just smelling divine because spring is in the air. Everything is crisp and green, and look at that. Look at that. I'm actually wearing a harness just so I don't have to carry my phone, and I've got the phone attached in a halter on the harness. Let's have a bit of a read. This is our first bit of history here, the stagecoach. So there you go. There was a courthouse in Normanville back in 1919, and the stagecoach used to come through and bring the mail and things like that. I won't read it all now, but I have got a booklet at home which explains a lot of things. Things a bit wet, it's a bit dewy this morning. So looking back at the scenery, it really appeared of a very grand nature with the subordinate hills emerging on each side of the pass. Wow, that was what was written. This is an entrance to the Great Gorge, is of rather an impressive character. That was what was written by the people back in the old days. Wow, they really knew how to stop and enjoy the beauty too. That river looks magnificent. I think in summer you can probably drop in yabby nets, catch a few yabbies, which are like crawfish, little tiny, sort of a prawn type thing for those people that don't know what a yabby is. It's like what they call a crawfish type thing. Anyway, yabbies are great, cooked up, peeled, chucked in between two bits of white gooey soft bread and some tomato sauce, ketchup, whatever part of the world you live in. Absolutely amazing. A little bit of mayonnaise in the tomato sauce is quite nice with it too. One of our favourite things to munch on. Anyway, I'll keep walking. I'm going downhill a little bit now, so that's a nice relief. Let's go. So we've come about 1 kilometre, and there's another historic sign here about a type of industry that was undertaken here called the yucca industry. It was a type of a gum that they took out of tree resin harvested from the yuccas. The yuccas are trees that look like in that picture. I think there's one kind of in the distance over there, and there's a couple in the hills. They're like a low-lying sort of a shrubby thing. Anyway, just in through there. So the yucca was used, or the resin, the gum residue, was used to manufacture polishes and stains and varnishes, and it was exported for its high percentage of picric acid, an ingredient in the manufacture of explosives and fireworks. Wow. So men came and did all the harvesting, bagged it all up, put it on the vessels. Horses took it out on the jetties and transported it out, and it went off to England and wherever else in the world back in the old day. Absolutely amazing. So from this point on, there's a private property sign, farming land, which I have access for once again, making it very clear, do not come in here or any farmland property without access. It's actually illegal and frowned upon in Australia, and you can get fines. So I have full permission to be here. So come along, it's an opportunity for you to see. And I have full permission to film as well. And of course, anything I may find will go to the farmer at his discretion to decide if I can keep it or if he'd like to have it, because after all, it is their family history that I may be digging up. A lot of these farmers were related to the early settlers through this district, so it is rightfully their products and items and everything that you find. But let's just go. The pleasure of being here is just wonderful. The trees are enormous. Glorious day, but I did make one mistake today. I didn't bring any fly repellent. Rookie error. And just trying to settle into this spring season, so I shall start bringing the fly repellent in my pocket next trip. Let's keep going. Coming up to a little bit of a water obstacle. We have had some rains, I guess, and there is a river and creeks nearby, so let's go and cross it. Some barbed wire on this other side, so try not to ouch, prick ourselves as I just pricked myself. There we go. Oh, Brun, you did well with one hand. Yeah, not much. Just a bit of water. Nothing amazing. We're nearly there. Let's keep going. Just have to show you. Look at that tree. It's just massive. It's growing in that rock face. Just incredible. Wow, so pretty. I'm surprised it hasn't fallen down. Unbelievable tree. So when I come to these areas, I'm looking for signs. If you're a metal detecting person, you sort of know what sorts of things to look for. Thank goodness, first of all, I've got my gaiters on in this grass, but I'm looking for signs like large trees where, you know, the travellers in the good old days in the 1800s, 1900s, they would have possibly, you know, come by. There's a whole pile of rocks here, which is really unusual. It's like they've been laid here, possibly like paving. But you're looking for signs to see, you know, how people then would have travelled and what they would have done, and where the big trees are and these sorts of rocks and things. You can sort of imagine that they would have stopped for a bit. It's a big clearing for a horse-drawn wagon to stop, and they may have fished here or rested in their travels or stopped to water their horses. So you're looking for those signs, and then that's always worth a bit of a swing with a metal detector. But today I'm just so gobsmacked at how beautiful it is that metal detecting really isn't even on my mind. I'm sure I'll get into it, but I just am absolutely blown away how stunning this is all around me. Every which way I look. I wish I was related to the forefathers and this land was in my family, although my family's pretty cool. But yeah, wouldn't it be something if you had access to all of the history and all of the photos and things that your family had handed down back in that day, just to see what your grandparents, greats were doing. And all I can say is all those great family members, gee whiz, they would have been great people just to survive in this land. Absolutely amazing. Let's keep going. And of course, I just couldn't resist a swing around some of these rocks near this giant tree. I can just imagine people, oh, signal 22. It's not very repeatable. I think I'll leave it. But yes, I can just imagine people sitting here and dropping a penny or two, a pocket watch, maybe an old style bracelet, some form of jewellery back in the day, or even a teaspoon or something if they'd had their lunch or their morning tea, bit of cake. Yeah, that's the sort of relics I like to find. Anyway, oops, let's keep going and we'll keep swinging when we get to our actual location. Wow, look at that pile of rocks over in the distance. There's two, one there and another small one up higher. And the larger, big, huge stones. And there's some more down there. I would imagine they would have fallen down over time from the top and landed there. But I often wonder if, you know, they were rocks that were used to make buildings, because the place I'm going to has got rocks exactly like that, which it was built from. So this is why they would have built in these locations, because, oh, there's an eagle up in the sky. That's pretty interesting. And a couple of smaller birds following it. I hope you saw that. Yeah, lots of eagles here because there's big trees. Sorry, going back to that rock story. Yes, in the museum it shows all of the old homesteads were built from local stone. So, yeah, nice to see an area where they may have collected some of that stone. No wonder this trail was terrific for a location to settle, with a gorge full of water, a river, Yankalilla River, and of course lots of rocks and lots of timber for firewood to cook and eat. Excellent location. They were very smart people. Let's keep going. Well, here we are to a lovely part of the river. Lovely path here. You can just imagine animals coming here to drink, and maybe, you know, some of these rocks, the way they're placed here and the way they've landed here, could have been a great place for the ladies back in the old days, the women, to come and do their laundry or get their water out of here, because my location where I'm going to is just up here. So I'll take you there now. Won't keep you in suspense any longer. It's quite spectacular. It's an old ruin, and oopsie days, and I can just imagine, you know, the people coming through here and going down to the water's edge. The path I'm walking on now is a bit muddy, so I'm being very careful, and looks like an animal trail, probably sheep or kangaroos coming down to have a drink. So we're just going to get through that. I'm swinging the detector a little bit just to get the arm warmed up. Now, one thing you notice too, there's some flowers that have been planted many years ago just over there, and the same sort of flowers are just over here. So they are agapanthus. So I would say that agapanthus don't grow wild here, not in the Australian bushland. They would have been put there, and like I said, the lady of the house, or you know, the family, the children may have planted these agapanthus just there. They'll come into flower eventually. They'll either be purple or white, and then there's some more down there by the water's edge. So it's kind of like a path, you know, to go down and you know, get your washing done, get your water and stuff like that. So we'll climb on up this side. It's not as soggy. The ground's a bit soggy over there, and we'll just keep going. And look, there was trees here, big trees up here, just gorgeous trees. You can just imagine the children climbing them and playing in them. Maybe even some meat hanging there drying. You know, they used to cure their meats, dry their meats, and here we are. This is the location I've come to. I had hoped that some of this grass wouldn't be too high, so I have been rewarded. I think the cows and the sheep have kept the grass down. So this is a very old ruin. It's rumoured to have been an inn, as in like an alcohol serving inn, or some sort of a accommodation inn that the old folks back in the day had built. I'll take you over to the signage that explains a little bit more, so I'm not double guessing. Hang 5 minutes. Right, this is the info. It was called the Two-Story Inn, or the Gorge Hotel, as it was also known. But there's no recorded history of an inn or a hotel being built or licensed in this area. So it was probably one of those, you know, I'm just going to build an inn and I won't bother putting in the paperwork, which was one of the sorts of things they did back in the old days. So a fellow by the name of Quinn owned this, and he purchased it from the government. He fenced and cleared the land and erected a house, probably built between 1853 and 1856. And in the 1857 council assessment, the house is assessed as £10. So it must have been a substantial dwelling, not just a hut or cottage. So when you look at the diagram and the floor plan that was submitted to the councils back then, the government, it's a substantial building for its time, but I'd say that's probably because there was plenty of stone and he thought, you know, go large or go home. So Mr. Quinn would have been a good old character. So the actual inn was built in the hope that as the travellers travelled along this road, along the river, they would stop at the inn and rest, and he would make money on the side, or not even on the side, he would just make money for himself to survive. So at the time of erection of this plaque, this actual plaque that I'm reading, it remains unclear as to why these ruins are locally known as the Two-Story Inn. There wasn't a lot of record about it. But let's go. I'm going to be detecting around that inn, and the remains are just here. Now, I'll lift up the camera. My biggest interest is sort of around the actual inn. The entrance would have been at the front there where those stones have fallen down. And my second interest is that giant big tree at the back. I'm going to swing around that big tree in the hope that maybe people just sat there and, you know, played and watched their children, and who knows what you can find. So I'll get into it, and if I find something, I'll let you know. Let's go. Well, we dug a lovely plug there, which I'll bury and make it beautiful again. And our first target. Hey, a little shot pellet from a small gun. Very interesting. Who knows? Maybe somebody went hunting rabbits here a long, long time ago. There you go. Target number 1. I'm very happy with that. Very, very happy with that. Let's keep going and see what this wonderful site unearths. Just some of the clues that this is the front entrance. You can see this row of stones all along this side and a few this side. Bit of a narrow path through there, so may have been laid many years ago, I would imagine so. Or maybe, you know, some farmer had laid it to signify the front entrance. But either way, you look for these little signs, because sometimes, as I learnt myself the other day, some of these stones bordered gardens and flowers and things. So, and when I look over there, there's also another bunch of agapanthus plants just in and amongst those reeds. So I would imagine that this may have been lined with flowers either side, and a very beautiful place to come and enter. So let's keep going. Just at this big tree now. I'm going to have a bit of a detect all the way around its base down here, and as you can see the grass is up a bit, so I'm being very careful, although it's fairly coolish still, so let's hope there's nothing lurking in that grass that lives under the tree. Let's keep going. Okay, we've got another target now. I just got to remind you, these are some of my firsts. These are first times for me. I know lots of people have dug these sorts of things, but this is first time for me, with a new shovel I purchased yesterday, new gaiters, a new 6-inch coil for my Equinox. So this is very exciting for me. This, I just bring it up, rung up at 18.19. Look at that. Incredible. Just an absolute gem to find. It's obviously a shotgun pellet thing, cartridge I should say. I should know better. So excited, speechless, I lose my words. I'm putting my glasses on and see if I can see anything. No, cannot see any markings, but very nice solid cartridge. Wow. So I think this area that I'm in at the moment, it's got rocks and things everywhere. I think this was the local dump site for the inn, which is the house that was just over there, the ruin, and the big trees just over there. And I've kind of come over here and started digging in and around where all this pile of rocks has covered the ground, which I think they probably buried lots of rubbish that they would have used in the day. So I'll keep digging. After I've plugged up this hole beautifully, let's keep going. Well folks, just as I suspected, we've unearthed a dump site here. So I have had a signal on the Equinox 800 of 1819, and I think this old horseshoe was triggering that signal. But in and around the horseshoe, I can't find the remainder of that horseshoe, but it's a very, very big horseshoe. So one of the larger horse varieties. So that's definitely going in the finds bag. I will show that to the landowner. Now, I've dug up differing colours of glass. Got like a brown, greeny, I don't know, it's dirty at the moment, that's probably why it's brown. Sort of a greeny glass. I can't see any markings on it, but definitely had one of those bottoms that kind of comes up, you know. So that was interesting. There's other little fragments of glass, but something even more interesting from this little dump site that I found are all these white pieces of china. They've got this pattern on them, and some are white bits, and can't see any markings either, but I will clean them up a little bit better. So there's just all these gorgeous pieces that you know, may have been container of sorts. A jug perhaps to drink from at the inn where I'm at. So really interesting stuff. So yes, I think I've stumbled onto what was the dump site for the inn. So that is pretty special stuff. I'll clean that up and have a bit more look, and I'll do some research at the library just to see if there was other crockery and that had similar pattern. So I'll also try and find out what particular manufacturer did that pattern. So I'm not too sure much about crockery. If anybody knows out there, let me know in the comments. I'm pretty excited. Let's keep going. Take my glove and turn the screen off every time. This is muddy business, but it's a lovely location. Look at that. Sound of the river in the background. Gorgeous. Let's keep going. Well, another great find. A couple of buttons. Wow, very exciting. Look at that. I'm not quite sure what the writing says. I've tried to have a look. It's very dirty in there. I'll let you know once I've cleaned it at home. There you go. Very exciting for me. Yeah. The button's kind of raised, you know. Very special. There's two of them. They were both in the same hole. Oh, my metal detector's going funny. There were two of them side by side in that hole, so I shall keep going. This is really exciting. I wonder if they had a washing line out here as well. And this button may have fallen off somebody's clothes while they were drying back in the old days. Right. Got another sort of a casing. Not too sure if it's got any writing on it or not. But yeah, I don't know what that is. It's got like a little thing on the end. Don't know. Maybe somebody out there can guide me. There we go. We'll keep going. And that rung up as 14:15 on the Equinox. So, yeah. Very interesting. This is very exciting for me. I'm going to spend most of the day here, I think. Luckily, I bought a sandwich and a drink. Let's keep going. There you go. I buried my plug. You can't even tell where I've been. Pretty cool, hey? That's something you have to do, is always bury your holes. Let's keep going. Well, I've got a few targets in this one. It's getting hot out here in the sun, but this is pretty exciting. We've got a small little shell of a bullet, and then we've got a larger one there, and some more china, and some black china as well. So this has 4 targets in here for me to look through later on. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with all of that. A couple of shells, a bit of black glass, black pottery, white pottery. Very, very interesting stuff. Let's keep going. Right, after digging this hole, which I really butchered, but I'll tidy it up, I found this very heavy piece of steel. Looks like some sort of a spike. Wow, it's quite heavy, made out of steel. And another button. They were kind of side by side. Same hole. Amazing. I still can't see what the button says, but I promise I'll try and look it up and write it in the comments. Really exciting. There you go. Wow, I'm exhausted. Right, I've taken a bit of a break. Just want to try and give you a perspective of why I'm in this shady area with these reeds either side, and there's like a bit of a shallow gully type area. Now, I found the buttons way up there in front of that big tree right at the back, just to the side of the cottage. There's a dump on this side, and I think the laundry or washing area might have been just to the other side of that dump, because they would have carted the water up from the creek behind me, up a path, and then any dirty wash water, I reckon, would have been poured down here, creating this little bit of a gully and all these wet reeds growing here. And the water today still flows there because there's a bit of a gully formation. And what makes me think this was the laundry area there, where I was saying, and that this gully's here, is because I think they would have hung up the washing. There's a couple of tree stumps over there that have been knocked down, And I reckon that they would have used these trees in and around here to actually hang the washing. So there you go. There's a couple of other trees where that stumpy broken one is, just on the other side laying down. You can't see it from here, but I reckon they might have strung up a washing line just in between here, and this was a bit of a wastewater section, and hence finding all those buttons up there, the clothing buttons that would have fallen off the clothes while they were drying. There you go. I shall have a break now and have some lunch and make my way back and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Bye for now. Right, well, dug this thing up. I have no idea what that is. It's got a couple of ends on it. Doesn't seem to be any markings. Yeah, I dug that up. There you go, bit of history. Well, it's time to say bye-bye to this inn cottage, and I've come in through the front door. I'm leaving through the front door, and I've got a few little treasures that I found, some buttons and bullet shells and a bit of steel, and this is the path, and I'm going to head back now up the trail back to the car. Thank you again for watching and joining me today. It's been wonderful. I'll show you some more scenery as I go along. Take care for now. Bye from Brun. Beautiful yellow flowers. Native trees. Check out this little guy. It's a lizard. I think it's stumpy tail type of lizard. Harmless. Very cute. Hello you. You're beautiful, aren't you? Yes. You're going? Alright then. Bye-bye. Beautiful, beautiful lizard. There's another lizard in the yellow flowers. Wow. That's probably their camouflage colour, the yellow. Off he goes.